Hi, everybody. This is Justin Jones. I'm going to go through using the Fuse Podcast Studio. We have a couple technical details to cover today. The first thing that I want to talk about is how to book the Fuse Podcast Studio. And the way you need to do that is to go to fusespc.com, the website, log in with your Fuse account. And once you've logged in, you book the podcast studio the same way you do a conference room. So you come over here to the booking menu, and I'm going to choose the find a room option, and you'll see the podcasting studio is listed here, and you can highlight it and choose make a booking. Then choose your date. For example, if I wanted to book next Monday on the 23rd from 3 to 4 p.m., I would do that. And based off your account and membership level, it's going to compute whether there's a cost to that or not. And then all you have to do is hit save booking. And after you've done that, you are ready to use the podcast studio at your booked time. So once you have the podcast studio booked, the next thing that you're going to need to do is either watch this video, which obviously you're already doing, or go through an in-person training. The in-person training is a great option if you haven't done a lot of computer-based recording before, because it's a little bit more interactive. There's a couple things that you need to hook up. The first is there's microphones that need to be plugged into the front of the Focusrite audio interface. And then there's a 48-volt phantom power switch that needs to be turned on, which means it glows red to make sure that phantom power is being provided to those condenser microphones so that they have electricity to operate. Once you have that done, you can choose to either use Windows or Mac OS. In this demo, we're already in Windows, and I'm going to show a Windows-based demo for doing recording. The piece of software that we usually start people off on is Audacity. It's a free program. You can go out there and search for Audacity on Google and download a copy on your computer. One great thing about using Audacity is you can save your project to a thumb drive after you record it and take it home and edit it or do mastering tasks on your own time rather than having to work exclusively in the podcast studio. So once you have your microphones hooked up and have some headphones plugged in or speakers, the next thing that you're going to need to do is run the Audacity software. So I'm just going to double click on this icon, and you can see if your microphones are working and recording by clicking up here where it says click to start monitoring. So I'm going to left click. And the first thing we immediately notice is we're seeing a record level in the left channel, but not in the right channel. And in my case, that's what I'm expecting. The reason I see it in the left channel and not the right is the way the Focusrite interface is set up by default is to send the audio from input number 1 to left and the input number 2 to the right channel. And if I was doing an in-person podcast with myself and a guest, that's great because I can actually adjust the volume levels separately. So if the person I'm interviewing ended up being a little bit more soft-spoken and I need to boost their volume, I can do that separately while leaving my volume at the same level. In my case, since there's nothing plugged into input number 2, we see nothing there. One important thing I think that people need to check when you first open the Focusrite software, always do a test recording before you do your actual real in-person interview, and make sure it sounds good. But if you notice that it's really echoey or doesn't sound very good, doesn't sound very professional, sounds maybe like you're in a tile room or something like that, one of the most common things that we've seen is sometimes when we open this software up, it defaults to using the internal microphone. This is an iMac computer, and so the iMac has a built-in camera and a built-in microphone, which are great for doing things, like Skype or video chat. But for getting a real high-quality, professional-sounding audio recording, we want to use the Focusrite interface with one of these nice MXL large diaphragm condenser microphones that we have. So you can see we're getting audio in both channels right now, but it's the internal microphone. And maybe just to let you hear what the difference is, I'm going to record a little bit and we'll see what it sounds like. So we're going to record a little bit with the internal microphone. I'm talking for the demo right now, and when I play this back, you'll actually get to hear it in the recording. So let's listen to it now. So we're going to record a little bit with the internal microphone. I'm talking for the demo right now. So you can hear it go. When I play this back, you'll actually I'd like to compare and contrast that. Let's listen to it now. Yep, I like to compare and contrast to that to what we get when we actually use the nicer microphone. So I'm going to undo this recording, switch us back to the Focusrite. And you're also going to notice, since like I mentioned before, you're only going to have audio in the left channel, we're going to go through how we fix that here in a little bit, but let's just see what it sounds like first of all when we record it. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is compare the sound quality that we're getting in this recording that's coming through the other microphone and see if you can tell a difference in sound quality. And let's play it back. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is compare the sound quality that we're getting in this recording that's coming through the other microphone and see if you can tell a difference in sound quality. Okay, and probably one of the first things that you notice is that it's a little bit quieter too. So the first thing that I'm going to do to this audio file is do an effect called normalization. It's right here under Effect Normalize, which is going to bring the audio volume up to the maximum that it can. And let's hear what the difference is here. So now let's listen after we normalize it. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is compare the sound quality that we're getting in this recording that's coming through the other microphone and see if you can tell a difference in sound quality. All right, so you can hear the difference in volume with the normalization, but as I can see in the playback, it's still only coming through the left channel, which is very distracting. So to get this particular audio track the way that we want, we need to essentially do what's called a stereo split. So we're going to do a split stereo to mono. So I click that, and now it's turned both of these tracks, the left track and the right track, into mono tracks. And I would typically, you know, do something like maybe even name this and put a name in and Justin here, and then instead of audio track here, name this one Justin's guest. And that way we would know, you know, kind of who is who here, and it'd make a little bit, more sense. So let me, if you accidentally do something like I just moved that track that I didn't mean to, you can come to the edit menu and undo. Control Z also, undo time shift, and you see it's back there. Now this one is still empty because that's track 2 that I have no mic plugged into. I'm just going to go ahead and mute that. So now if we play this stereo track, so what I'd like you to do is compare the sound quality. It's the same audio, but it's going out both the left and the right channel at the same time. And if you listen to it, so what I'd like you to do is compare the sound quality that we're getting in this recording tracks, and that's really coming through the other microphone, and see if you can tell a difference. You may want to actually get to the point where, to give the recording a little bit of stereo feel, to give your recording some stereo feel, if I had 2 people talking, I may move myself a little bit, 30% left, and then move this other person over here to, like 30% right. And that way I come a little bit more out of the left and they come up a little bit more out of the right, and it gives that nice stereo feeling. So this is a relatively short introduction video, but once you've done this, all you really need to do is come here and you can save your project, save a compressed copy of the project, and come up here, maybe on the desktop, come make a folder, Justin's demo project, and then in the folder do Justin's demo project, and it'll actually save a compressed copy out to that folder that I can then take. I can take these files and I would be able to open them up on my computer at home and mix them. If you're ready to actually distribute your entire podcast or get a final version of it, what you actually want to do is do file export audio. And you have a couple of choices here to export your audio as a WAV file or as an MP3 or all these other formats like FLAC. It's a little bit outside the scope of this class to talk about what the differences are, but for most purposes, MP3 is probably going to be good enough, especially if you do one of the things like insane or extreme quality. It's still going to be way smaller than a WAV file, but it's going to be sufficient audio quality. So let's do this Justin's export of MP3. And it's going to actually take this, and I did extreme quality, and then save it. And, oh, let's see. It's giving us a question about the MP3 encoder, I think. We may have to install that, and I don't know if that's on here right now, so maybe we'll just do WAV file for now. Justin's export of WAV. Okay, so this is going to export the WAV file. We just hit OK. That MP3 thing, I think I just need to install the encoder, so I'll go back and do that. But let's see, that little bit there, Justin's export of WAV, and you can see here we've got a 1.98 megabyte file. That's nothing. That's very, very small. That'll easily fit on your flash drive. Some of these files may get too big to email, but you should be able to like save them in your Google Drive or your Dropbox or on a flash drive. And now that this is exported, we can open it up in, iTunes,
so what I'd like
Windows
you to do
Media
is compare
Player,
the sound quality that we're getting.
any of those different pieces of software that you use to play WAV files or MP3s, and then it could be uploaded to a website or something like that. Of course, for a website, you're probably going to want it in MP3 format, and we can talk more about that later. But that gives you a basic overview of how to use the podcasting studio and get set up with a basic recording. Thank you very much, and we will look to see you in later sessions.